Welcome to Listen by Gene Ginsberg. This audio experience and podcast is all about social media, digital marketing, entrepreneurship, and interviews with top entrepreneurs in the digital and social space. I am your host, Gene Ginsberg, digital marketing expert, #1 best-selling author, and award-winning entrepreneur. I will be sharing with you strategies, tips, and tactics on how to grow your business and your social media following. Thanks for listening. Hey everyone, Gene Ginsberg here. Thanks for being on the show today. Listen by Gene Ginsberg, and we have a very special guest, Josh Little. How are you?
So good. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm doing excellent. Thank you for being on the show. We're very excited. So first question I always like to ask my guests is tell us about your background to kind of give us some context.
Sure. I'm a teacher by training, but then realized that wasn't my thing and went on to the corporate world and had a career, realized that the same skills that made me great as a teacher also made me great at sales. So then I had a great corporate career at 3 Fortune 500 companies in sales and sales training and marketing. And it was actually scratching my own itch trying to build an e-learning program at one of those companies that let me into my entrepreneurial career. That was 14 years ago. The first company was Maestro. And since I've built 4 tech companies that have collectively been used by hundreds of millions of people and had a great career as an entrepreneur, kind of a second wind in my career, which brings us to my latest challenge, which is trying to improve team communication with our video messaging app called Volley.
Okay, so tell us about your company, Volley, or I guess if you want to tell us about all the companies you're currently working on.
Oh, those are old news. They're all still alive and well, but Volley is my new passion. Volley is a video first messaging app that allows you to communicate with your team using asynchronous video. So just like any conversation, we take turns, except in Volley, you record your turn with a video. And that gives us the richness of talking with the flexibility of texting. It allows teams to communicate with more humanity and context and authenticity than text-based communication, which only delivers about 7% of the communication picture. 93% is delivered through tone of voice, body language. It's why we have our camera on right now so that we can see each other and read each other, right? And we're elite athletes at this thing called communication. So Volley just allows us to use our natural strengths and abilities to communicate better with the people that matter most.
Awesome. So is this similar to like a Loom? I don't know if you've heard of Loom.
Yeah, for sure. It is in that it is asynchronous video, but unlike Loom, Volley allows you to communicate in threaded video messages. Loom is kind of a one-way, here's a piece of content that you can comment on. Volley is more like Marco Polo or Snapchat for work.
Oh, okay. Very interesting. So what kind of businesses do you work with? Is this applicable to all businesses, I take it?
Well, it is, but the ones that get the most value out of it are working remotely or in some hybrid setup, just because connection is hard. And all of those interactions that we had once around the water cooler in the parking lot or walking down the hall are just gone. And there's no amount of forced fun Zoom happy hours that can replace these things. So getting those authentic interactions to happen spontaneously is hard or impossible in tools like Slack or email. So we kind of bring back that fun and spontaneity. So therefore, the teams that are getting the most success out of this tend to be smaller teams, tech, e-commerce companies, small teams trying to do big things. Stakes are high. Communication matters. So they're the ones that kind of get this video first mentality and realize, every second matters, every interaction matters, so let's make them count.
Cool. And what was the inspiration for this? Is this just because like COVID happened and you realized there's probably a better way of communicating, or what was the catalyst?
Yeah, COVID was the catalyst, but I've been thinking about this problem for over a decade. Bloomfire, my second company, is today the premier knowledge management platform out there. But 11 years ago, we were thinking about how do we get the right information to the right people at the right time at work. And that's very much what Bloomfire was doing. It was kind of collecting your organization's brain into a searchable place. And it was a wild idea in 2009, just a year after Twitter had launched. So I've been thinking about the problem for over a decade, falling in love with asynchronous video communication on tools like Marco Polo, like Snapchat, thinking this is just a fundamentally better way to communicate. And then COVID hits, all teams go remote. I say, I know what we need. We need video messaging for work.
Right. Very cool. Yes. I mean, so many changes since the last year and a half. I guess now we're in June of 2021. So it's been about a year and a half since this whole thing started. And of course, so many companies most companies went remote, right? If they could. And now I guess some of them are going back. I don't know, but definitely a big shift, right? A paradigm shift almost, I would say, in how things have progressed since the last year and a half. And having a platform like that's fantastic because, right, there's so many things that we want to say, but maybe not always can effectively communicate that in like Slack, which is a good platform. Absolutely. We use Slack in our business. And I know a lot of businesses use Slack, but yeah, video is such a more powerful medium, I guess I would call it, a medium of how to communicate with others. So yeah, I just love hearing about these new technologies that are all about how do you solve a problem, which in the last year and a half has been a problem for us, right? Because we haven't been able to really communicate since everyone has been working remotely. So one of the questions I'd like to ask our guests for our audiences is, most of our audiences are small businesses starting a business. So what is, if they get your platform, what is something that they can go back into their business and utilize now when it comes to communications?
Well, yeah, they can replace their text-based communication with a richer method, which is async video. So it's as easy as creating a workspace and sending your team the link. And now you're all in one place and you can create conversations and channels with one another. It's super simple. It's as easy as setting up Slack, for example. It's just, and you can still write text messages and screen records and do all of those things in Volley. It's just video is kind of the hero citizen. 80% of volleys sent are video volleys. So the teams that are coming to Volley are coming because they have this video first mentality. They also believe this is a fundamentally better way to communicate. And therefore they're having the most success with it.
And best practices for it is just like a short 1 minute video or something like that. Is that usually how it works, or is it designed more for longer? Like, I have to explain how to, set up a Facebook ad to my team. Do I use Volley there, or is it more for like training purposes? Like, what are the best practices for Volley?
All of the above.
Okay.
The hot ones are like stand-ups. That's an easy one to just, of course we would do our stand-ups asynchronously. Of course we're going to do it with video. Yeah, let's do them on Volley. Or one-on-ones, or unblocking, or you said training. Like if you want to just explain this new thing about your Facebook ad system and then have that saved for later, archived. I mean, that's a pretty valuable thing. And it's not archived in some random link that's in some email. It's in a threaded conversation that you're going to refer back to and be able to find over time. So yeah, those are some of the easy targets to start to replace. And I think that's best practices. That's what I say, is just replace one thing with Volley. Just test it out and see. And whatever that thing could be, a weekly update, but it's better if it's some sort of stand up or huddle or check in that you'll start to quickly see, what else could we replace with this? Meetings? Oh, sure. Why are we having this meeting and that meeting?
This podcast is brought to you by the Digital Marketing Method monthly group coaching program, your methodology for growing your business and your social media following. Join me and my group of supportive entrepreneurs and learn how you can grow your business and your social media following, where we cover topics such as Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, email marketing, and so much more. Go to dmgroup.online, dmgroup.online. Do you feel like meetings can be replaced with a platform like yours?
For sure. Really? When we came out of the gate, we launched earlier this year, and we came out of the gate, saying, this is the end of meetings as we know it, and sign the meatless manifesto, and all of this kind of radical thinking, like Volley is going to kill all the meetings. And what we realized from our users quickly was like, Josh, we still need to meet. In fact, synchronous conversation is better for these few things, like emotionally charged conversation, anything with like tight feedback loop or rapid iteration. Asynchronous just sucks for those things. But for everything else, it's great. So we can't entirely replace meetings. Meetings are a great thing. We can enhance some of those meetings, give you a place to have that conversation after, that you don't have to wait till next Thursday at 3:30, right? And then some meetings just don't need to happen. The famous meme is, this meeting could have been an email. Well, that meeting actually is better as a Volley. And it's probably only 2 or 3 turns that we need to take. And because I can listen to you on 2x and you can listen to me on 2x, and I can speak 7-8 times faster than I can talk, we're going to take that 30-minute meeting and we're going to get this done in like 3.5 minutes. And so that's the beauty. So for most teams, they're able to erase some of the meetings from the calendar, giving them wide open swatches of productivity and deep work and uninterrupted time. But even at Volley, we do have 2 meetings on the calendar each week that are just better done synchronously. Sometimes we do cancel them, but yeah, we still do.
So there's still meetings going on at Volley, right? I guess in order to create the product, do marketing, whatever that might be, right? It's still got to meet with people for that. But yeah, interesting how, really it's a productivity tool, right? It's not just like a communication tool, but it's also, it allows you to take that time that you would have spent in a meeting or spent writing a Slack, allows you to then review communications in a much faster manner, which then gives you extra time to do whatever, your work, play with your kids, whatever that might be, right?
Yeah.
So
live your life.
Live your life. Yeah. So whatever that might be. Cool. Any new initiatives that you guys are working on to improve Volley? I mean, not that it needs improvement, but like, next steps.
Well, we're early in the development of Volley. We're still trying to figure out exactly the right mix of features and functionality so that this medicine can cure the disease. So we're kind of entering this growth mode and starting to hack little things like, maybe this email should come a little earlier. Maybe this headline on this text message. So we're just really starting to polish the machine and help onboard users and help them become more successful. So that's the near term for Volley. Long term, what we've realized is we're building the ultimate communication tool for the future of work. And what does that future look like? It's flexible, it's hybrid, it's distributed, it's modal. We're in different places throughout our work day. We're at the coffee shop, then in an office, then sitting in our car, then back at home, then walking the dog, then back at home again. And in each of those places, you need a different communication tool. You can't, at the coffee shop, you don't want to be blabbing out loud and canceling and repeating and saying the same things again. You want to be typing and be quiet. You don't want to listen to your coworker blab. You want to slide that timeline up and read. So that's a little preview of where we're headed, is like speech to text, text to speech. We feel like we've built the foundation, we've done all the hard stuff, the hard lift, which is the video pipeline and getting that to be performant and reliable. But Volley in the near future will be a shapeshifter.
Awesome. I love that. Technologies that change how we behave, right? That's huge. Speaking of the future, our last question before we wrap up is, what is your prediction for the future in your industry? And that again is it could be a very open-ended question. It could be specifically your industry, or it could be self-driving cars, terraforming Mars, AI, whatever, wherever you want to take it. I kind of leave it open-ended for our guests.
Yeah, well, that's a good one. And my answer is the dam is about to break. And what we're going to see is a tidal wave rushing down on us. And it's already started. There are cracks in the dam. And this dam is this pent up demand to work flexibly. And since the internet was created, we've invented tools to help us. But still 25 years later, we work pretty much like we did when the internet was invented. And why didn't this make us better or faster or more flexible, right? And there've been books written about remote communication and books written about results only, yet we can't do them, or it's still hard. So we're starting to see companies, starting with some of the big tech companies, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, et cetera, just going like fully remote, partially remote. These certain people can go remote. We're hybrid. But what's kind of crazy, it's happening right now, is like Nationwide Insurance and Hitachi and Siemens and all of these blue chip companies are following suit with part of their workforce, or going hybrid with a majority of their workforce. And so when I say the dam's about to break, all companies are going to follow that trend. We're all going to start working and using tools so that we can kind of live the way we want to live, or work the way that we want to work, so that we can live the way we want to live. And this big wave is going to wash over us in the next years. So that's my prediction, to be ready for that sort of change, because if it's not where you work now, it's coming soon. I think COVID woke us up, but I think most people felt like they were in a dream that was going to end. And they were kind of holding their breath, like, okay, we're going to hold on to the things that we know, and this is going to change, right? But now that it's changed back, we don't want to commute again, do we? Do we want to wait what? Are we really? And I think everyone's discovering, no, there is a better way to work, and we should figure that out right now. So that's what I think.
Fantastic. Yes. Well, I think the dam is already partially broken, if you will, using your terminology, because I mean, we've already had COVID, and a lot of companies are now remote and not going back to the office. But yeah, I had the same thought when I about 8 to 10 years ago, when I was looking to, I wasn't really looking to necessarily start my business at that time, but I did end up starting my business 8 years ago. But I was thinking about, how do you use remote work, use the internet without having to be at the office, without commuting, as I had several jobs where commuting was a pain in the butt. It was like, I would sometimes commute for an hour each way, which was a waste of my time twice, 2 hours per day for 5 days a week. It really starts to add up. And so I ended up deciding to start my own business to kind of have my own lifestyle and, travel or be where I wanted to be, and created my team to be remote as well. So it's interesting how sometimes that just happens a long time ago, but then sometimes it happens when a pandemic happens. So just sharing a little bit of my story.
That's right. I've had the same experience. My last companies, we've wanted to go remote. We talk about it. We read the books. We experiment with it, and it's just harder. The tools aren't there. So that's what I'm doing now, is building the tools to usher in the future of work. Hopefully. Yes.
And the future of work is such a big topic these days. I've had a number of podcast guests who talked about the future of work. So interesting to hear that. And then, this is all part of it, right? This tool, which is a tool that is in a very large ocean, but a very important tool, right, for how do you communicate with your team members, that is beyond just Slack or just the tools that we currently have. So I love that. Awesome. So last question is, how can our audience get in touch with you?
Well, go to volleyapp.com and download the app, and you'll automatically have a conversation with me. It's the early days, and every user gets a conversation with the founder, because I just want a front seat into their experience and how did it go. And so I'm talking with our users all day, and that's really exciting for me.
Awesome. Who can say that, right? The times when you could talk to Jeff Bezos 20 years ago directly, same thing with you now, right? If your audience is going to talk with you directly.
I don't know about that, but let's hope. Sure.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for being here. Josh Little. Volley is the name of the company, and revolutionizing the future of work. Thanks so much.
Thank you.